So hi, my name is Yael. I'm a second year at Sackler School of Medicine in Tel Aviv. And I am actually presenting to you from the northern part of Israel in Carmiel, which will become significant later on in this presentation. In this picture, I'm standing in Jerusalem at the Western Wall with Heidi Kuhn. Heidi Kuhn is not only the CEO of Roots of Peace, which is Shorashim Sheshalom in Hebrew, but she's actually my neighbor. And I grew up with her right above my house up the road. Her oldest daughter, Kylie, always babysat me growing up. And there were these gatherings at their house. There were all these people and cars driving up the road. And as I grew up, I didn't really understand what was happening. But when I got older over time, I learned that they were making big changes all over the world, right above the hill. So what Roots of Peace does is they remove landmines in Afghanistan, Croatia, from all over the world, and they replace it with vineyards and orchards. So they're taking out danger and negativity, and they're replacing it with growth, sustainability, and infrastructure. So Noble House Spice, actually, it's a company in Northern California. They are actually selling the spices that are made and grown in Afghanistan at these farms where there were once landmines. There are currently 60 million landmines in 60 countries, and it takes about 8 pounds to detonate a landmine, which is an average weight of a newborn child. And it costs $3 to put in a landmine, but it takes $1,000 to remove a landmine. Why it's so expensive is not only does that landmine have to be removed, but one has to comb that whole area, the size of a football field, where that landmine is in order to declare it safe and clear, and this is a very expensive feat to do. Let's see, it's gonna play, yay.
It came from my heart, a world where we may remove these landmines, replacing the scourge of landmines with bountiful vineyards and orchards worldwide. A few years before, I had been diagnosed with malignant cancer. I had a 1-, 3-, and 5-year-old. And anyone who has gone through cancer knows that defining moment when you go under the knife. For me, it was, dear God, grant me the gift of life, and I will do something special with it. Well, that manifestation came with the eradication of landmines, because cancer is a landmine, and landmines are a cancer to the earth. And the solution is removal. Roots of Peace, for the past 23 years, has removed hundreds of thousands of landmines, UXOs, and cluster munitions, and we have planted over 5 million fruit trees in all 34 provinces of Afghanistan.
So as Heidi was saying, Afghanistan is a place they work, including Vietnam, Croatia, Angola, Guatemala. And these are just some of them. And they clearly, you can see, they touch many continents and are all over the world. So I'm gonna kind of zoom in, kind of to where I'm sitting with you today, in Northern Israel. And we're gonna go to the next slide, one moment. So this is the story of a young boy named Daniel Yuval. This happened in February 2010. Daniel Yuval is from Ramat HaSharon. Ramat HaSharon is located 15 to 20 minutes from Tel Aviv, where we go to medical school. And what happened is snow, as you guys know, is pretty rare in Israel. So it snowed, and the family wanted to take a fun day, enjoy the snow, and just have fun for the weekend. So they went up north to the Golan, where I'm sitting now, and they took a detour because there was traffic, because everyone, of course, wants to have fun in the snow. So Daniel's mom and the 2 younger children stayed in the car. There was even more traffic. And then the father and Daniel and his older sister, Daniel was 11 at the time and his sister was 12, they went to play in the snow. They were playing racing and having fun, and then Daniel saw a shimmering rock in the distance, ran into it, and then he doesn't really remember what happened next. Everything became a blur, and he had detonated a landmine. His leg was amputated after being rushed to Rambam Hospital in Haifa. And he, in the hospital, definitely a precocious young 11-year-old boy, said, "I don't want this to happen to anyone else." So just to kind of clarify a few pictures here, and it'll be clarified in the next slide also. As you saw earlier, mokshim is, so that means landmine in Hebrew, and hizaher means like to be careful. So be careful of landmines. Daniel is in the upper left corner holding the sign. And actually the dad's holding the younger brother because Daniel is currently in the helicopter at that time. And then kind of foreshadowing what happens next. Heidi, this is Heidi with Daniel. This is of course Bibi with Daniel. And then this is Daniel's mom with him in the hospital. And then this is Daniel close to today. So here's more of the story. I'm gonna translate it as this is in Hebrew.
את פינוי הילדים משדה המוקשים.
He's asking, is everything okay, bro? So this is a family who wanted to have a fun day in the north, but then it ended after suddenly taking a turn for the worse. An 11-year-old sister and 12-year-old sister and 11-year-old brother from the center of Israel were raised into a helicopter after being injured by a detonated landmine. He's saying, "I came to introduce myself. I'm a medic. The girl's completely okay." So there's Daniel's father and mother. You can clearly see the blood on his shirt. And that's him with his 2 younger children. They're saying, "Leave him alone just for a second." They're asking, "How are you feeling?" He's like, "The boy's so cute." He's saying, "I came to introduce myself. I'm a medic. And the girl's completely okay." And then this is the bloody clothes of the children who simply just wished to enjoy the snow, but instead found themselves in the hospital. There's another sign, the mine sign. And this is a witness. "I saw the dad suddenly come running from the hill, holding one child on each side. One child's face was severely injured, covered in blood. There was a smell of fire in the air. The children were taken to Rambam Hospital in Haifa. The boy has suffered," okay, then the doctor's gonna talk. "The boy has suffered severe injuries to both legs, and the girl has been minorly injured. And both children came to the hospital in full consciousness. And their landmines are sustained from, their injuries are sustained from landmines." Sorry about that, a little tricky. So what happened after the work of Daniel Yuval teaming up with Heidi? So I guess I'll reverse and then go forward for a second. So Heidi learned about the story of Daniel and it inspired her to kind of take action in Israel. So there are 1.5 million landmines in Israel, and Israel has the most dense population of landmines per geographical area. They're located in the Golan in the north, where I am now once again, the Arava Valley, the south, and the Jordan Valley. So between 2012 to 2014, Heidi traveled to Israel around 20 times to help advocate and speak with the Israeli government. So not only did she meet with the Knesset and Bibi Netanyahu along with Daniel, but she actually met with the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and there are definitely not many organizations or people who meet with both of those parties. So they lobbied with Knesset for the Minefield Clearance Act, which passed unanimously, and that rarely happens because Jews have many different opinions. So what happened is they demined the fields of Bethlehem, and that's called Huson Village. And in that village, 8 kids have previously lost their lives. And they also demined a village called Qasar al-Yahud, which is the baptismal site of Jesus. And what I think is really special about these locations is that they're located in Israel, governed by an Israeli government, Arabs live in the village, and they're significant to the Christians. So it kind of brings together all three religions, which is very powerful. And if you look at the top picture, there is a shepherd, and if you look closely at his right hand, he actually does not have a right hand. He lost his right hand to a landmine in 1958 after he saw a Jordanian soldier who was being blown up by a landmine and went to try and save him. So because of Heidi and the work of Daniel together, they help establish the Israel National Mine Action Authority, which is still working today to demine Israel. And 2 villages were demined, and it actually cost $500,000 to demine the villages, and there were 10,000 mines located there. So what's happening to Daniel today? He served in the IDF, and he currently is a college student at Hebrew University of Jerusalem. So Heidi published a book last year in 2020, wow, time flies, about her experience with Roots of Peace and her story, and kind of giving a more detailed story of her time with Roots of Peace. So of course, there are many, many more landmines around the world than in Israel, and there's a lot more work to be done. And if you have any questions, you can contact me, and you can go to the website. And I'm not sure, Heidi might be on this Zoom, but I'm not quite sure if she's still here. But thank you for your time.
Go ahead.
Oh, she's there. Hello.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much. And to all of the students, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your support. And I hope to return to Israel in the very near future. I'm here with Yael's mother, who's my next door neighbor, and both of us came down on this Sunday morning. We're so proud of you, incredibly bright, smart women of Israel. We are with you in solidarity in all of your healing endeavors, and just thank Yael as our ambassador of Roots of Peace in Israel. And we hope you have an opportunity to meet Daniel Yuval. He's an extraordinary young man. I met him when he was 11. He's now 21 and just got out of the Israeli army. On one leg, and that gentleman is my hero. I promised him as a little boy I'd help create a mind-free world, and with Yael's leadership and the incredible women at Sackler Medical School, let's make the world safe for all children to walk without fear. Tikkun Olam, to heal the earth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, really appreciate your work, and it's beautiful.
Thank you all so much. It's such an honor, and you never know what your neighbors grow up to do in this world. And women really need to stay together and in solidarity for the long run. This world needs us, women of Afghanistan, of Israel, of Palestine, of Vietnam, and just women of good hearts. So that's what we do as medical physicians. My oldest son is a doctor at UC Davis, critical care, and just deepest respect for all those in the medical profession, especially at this time in history. Thank you.